All right, so we got a couple things planned. This very interesting blog got dropped from the Overwatch team that was talking about the matchmaker, which is very, very interesting because one of the biggest critiques I ever read about every online video game is matchmaking, right? Like people say matchmaking isn't fair. Matchmaking takes too long, right? Like queue times are really long. Games doesn't feel good, whatever it might be. And a lot of people have hype or theories about winners queue and losers queue and engagement matchmaking, forced 50-50 win rates. So it's always very interesting to see when they peel back the veil a little bit and get to see what it looks like under the hood. So I want to read this real quick. I've always had my own theories about how the Overwatch matchmaker works and my own understanding, and I wonder if it matches this. So let's go. All right, weekly recall, meeting your matchmaker. This week, we're pulling back the metaphorical curtains to share more about one of Overwatch's most complex topics, matchmaking. Dun, dun, dun. So, very interesting. I want to point out, this is such a radical shift in their ideology, and it's really been shown over the last 2 years that they're willing to be more open and talk about more taboo, quote-unquote, topics. Because I feel like the Overwatch team of 2 or 3 years ago would have never even wanted to, like, admit that matchmaking even exists. They just like, you press the button and magic makes you appear in a game. There are 2 goals we're trying to accomplish with our matchmaking system: create fun matches and to keep you from waiting too long to jump into them. That second goal is self-explanatory, but the first one is a bit more nebulous. Wait, who wrote this, by the way? Oh, it doesn't put the name at the top. Damn. Our matchmaking philosophy is that fun stems from fairness. In an ideal scenario, both teams in a match would have 50% chance of victory. The outcome of that match would depend entirely on the choices, strategies, and big plays of each person in the lobby. Winning is fun, of course, but player agency and the idea of a competitive or winnable match is something we found to be even more important. When you feel as though your actions matter and any outcome is possible, that makes for a compelling game of Overwatch. Let's jump in to how we approach this in both of the core modes as well as in Stadium. So very interesting. This is almost impossible to do even with the algorithms because not every player is always playing at their peak or playing at their best or their worst. Sometimes they're playing better than average. Sometimes they're playing worse than they normally do. Sometimes someone had a bad day. Sometimes, you know, someone's hungover. Someone's stressed out. Someone on their team's doing whatever. As a copywriter that writes content like this, very rarely will they allow the writer to put their name on it. Typically, it has to be a manager or supervisor's name to be attached to it. That's interesting because they do actually put names on these a lot of times. Most of these actually have names. They're either like Gavin, they're Dylan, they're Aaron himself. Maybe it'll be at the end, we'll see. But they actually do put their name on it quite often. Matchmaking 101. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, it is important to understand how matchmaking works. Every Overwatch 2 player has a matchmaking rating, MMR, number that acts as an approximation of their skill and is used to place them in matches. A number, you say? So this is where someone who played Overwatch 1 is gonna yell at you and go, the old rank system was better! Because you used to have a number in Overwatch. Basically, like, instead of being GM2 or Diamond 2, you would be 3,252 points, right? And every 500 points was the next rank. So 3,500 was Masters, 3,000 was Diamond, 2,500 was Platinum, 2,000 was Gold, 1,500 was Silver, below 1,500 was Bronze. And so you could tell exactly how close you were to the next rank, and also like you have like a peak, right? Like your peak could be, let's say your peak was 3495, right? That means you were like 5 points off of Masters. But in the system that currently exists is just like Diamond 1. And so it's not, some people would argue it's not as exciting, but it was a little more accurate. While you see your MMR as a labeled skill tier, such as Diamond 3, we view it internally as a data point on a bell curve where the center is 0. As you go up and down from that point, the number of players on each side drops dramatically. Competitive distribution by skill tier. Oh, I love when they do these. So Platinum is the most populous rank with 34.9% of players. Gold is the second most by far with 31.7% of players. The next is, there's more diamond players than silver players? That's amazing. Diamond is 14.9% of the player base. Silver is 12.6% of the player base. And then there's more Masters players than bronze players? Wait, that's hilarious. There's more Masters players than bronze players. You know, that's actually kind of crazy to me, because I would have thought with a big uptick of what Rivals was, and people would be more curious about seeing what the hero shooter genre looks like, would go try Overwatch, and none of those people would be ever above bronze, like when they first start. You would figure this would have got like a little bit of a boost, but interesting. That was their intention though, right? Less players in bronze and GM and champ. I don't know about the GM and champ one, because like I know they've been trying to push this back over, because like Champion 1 was legitimately impossible. I think the first Champion 1 player was like a couple weeks ago, if I ever saw on Twitter, right? And then the top of the game, 0.3, so 0.3% of the player base is Grandmaster, and less than 0.1. So less than 0.1% of the player base is Champion. So there's probably like maybe 100 or less Champion players. That's crazy. All right, let's continue. Let's say someone is internally rated at 2. That's kind of not nice. Which is considered a high skill player around Masters 5. As soon as they queue up, the system tries to find players that are also rated at 2. If it can't manage to find a full lobby of players at the exact MMR in a set period of time, it expands outward both positively and negatively to fill the match. That final lobby may have a skill range between 1.9 and 2.1, which should feel quite balanced. Okay, that makes sense. Building the best match. Mathematically, the best match will include 10 players of approximately the same skill. If in reality we can't create the ideal match, what trade-offs are we making to get as close as possible? We have a bunch of matchmaking systems that try to ensure balanced matches. One system that helps achieve this is called Role Delta. Oh my god, I haven't heard that in a long time. It aims to match the skill levels of individual roles on both sides of the lobby in those cases where we can't create a match where all of the players are exactly the same MMR. For example, if one team's tank has a 1.5 MMR rating, Role Delta will do its best to find another tank rated 1.5 to compete against them in a specific match. This makes for a less frustrating experience because players go head to head with similarly skilled opponents. True, they did that a long time ago. And so tank diff was the big thing that started this. Like if you have one player that has like a really good tank and one team has a really not as good tank, you kind of get smoked on. So they basically try to match it up, but it also goes for the other roles. So like, let's say one team has a plat DPS and one has a master's DPS, then the other team will also have a plat DPS and a master's DPS. So it tries to match at least like one mirror to you on the enemy team, right? There are also many ways we can relax match quality and work within a more realistic matchmaking framework. We weigh those options against team level fairness as well as player level fairness. The former relates to the probability that Team 1 will beat Team 2, and the latter is at the role level, for example. What are the chances that Team 1's damage player will noticeably outperform the other team's damage dealers? Okay. All right. Sure. So that's basically like expected versus uphill battle. Role Delta was partially motivated by these team level fairness assessments. We noticed that if one team had a vastly higher ranked tank, win rates were distorted in a way that wasn't reflected by simply assembling matches based on a flat MMR rating or the sum of the entire team's MMR rating. It's relatively easy for us to consistently make matches fair on a team level thanks to the system in place. In competitive mode, we take a step to ensure that the absolute lowest win rate probability a team encounters is 40%. That would be an outlier though. Most matches, 80% of them, of competitive role queue have a win rate probability within the 45 to 55% range. Basically, this means if you are a extremely high rank player or extremely low rank player, we're talking champion or bottom bronze, and you're queuing at 2 or 3 in the morning where there's low player population, the game trying its best to find you a game will go as low as a 40% probability to win or lose, but it will not go any higher or lower than that, no matter what, even at those hours. That's a super win outlier, though, and only probably pertains to maybe 100 people a day, right? And it's at those really, really weird hours. For most people, though, you're within the 45 to 55% range, and that way you actually get a game somewhat quickly. What's the average matchmaking time now? It's like somewhere between like 3 to 5 minutes, like 2 to 5 minutes maybe. So that makes sense. Creating lobbies with a narrow skill range is important because inconsistencies show up at the team level. A team of Silver 2 players will approach coordination and communication very differently than a stack of Diamond 2 players. If a team includes both of those skill tiers, it's likely that both sides will believe their counterpart is playing ineffectively or incorrectly. Whoa. What? So creating lobbies with a narrow skill range is important because inconsistencies show up at the team level. A team of Silver 2 players will approach coordination and communication very differently than a stack of Diamond 2 players. If a team includes both of those skill tiers, it's likely that both sides will believe their counterpart is playing ineffectively or incorrectly. So I believe that means if I queued into a game and I am Diamond and I'm a DPS player and my teammate, who's also a DPS player, is Silver, I'm going to look at that person with disgust and be like, that person sucks balls. That guy is ass. He is so bad. But then it also applies to the guy on the enemy team. One of the DPS on the enemy team that's also Silver. I'm going to look at that guy and be like, that guy is terrible over there. And the Silver will do the same, no? Yes. The Silver, I guess, yes, the Silver could do the same thing. The Silver could look at the Diamond player on his team and go, that guy's ass. That guy sucks. Is this already implemented or is it a future update? This is how it currently works. Player level fairness is a much more difficult thing to achieve, and it's one of the leading reasons why queue times can sometimes be unpredictable. Assembling a lobby of 10 similar MMR ratings can be tricky if there are low player populations online, like at extremely high levels, off-peak hours, or in low population regions. Yeah, so basically they're trying to avoid that as much as they can, but sometimes they can't, which is like super, super high rank, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, or low population regions like Australia, right? Australia is notoriously a low population region. In the past, we've experimented with extending the MMR range allowed in matches to mitigate longer queue times for those cases. Unsurprisingly, the matches ended up being less balanced and less fun as a result. We're always analyzing the trade-offs we're making between queue times and match quality and tweaking our systems for better outcomes. You know what's funny? The cycle always continues. Every 6 months to a year, the community will flip and will go from wanting really extremely tight matchmaking, fair matches with long queue times to I'm so sick of waiting 10 minutes in queue. And it's every time because none of us will ever be happy with it because it's no one wants to sit in queue for 10, 20, 30 minutes. But also, they don't want the super unfair matches. So there is no correct answer. They kind of just have to keep flipping depending on how the community feels about it at the time and doing their best to find some kind of middle ground eventually. But I don't think that'll ever happen. So there's got to be a way to get in the middle. I don't think there is. The player base isn't large enough. Overwatch has, unfortunately, so first off, the game is 8 and 9 years old. It's an 8 and 9 years old game. Let's be real. Lots of people still play it, but think about what you have now. You have quick play, roll queue, open queue, and mystery heroes. You have ranked, 5v5 roll queue, 6v6 open queue, stadium, 5v5, with in the future coming 5v5 quick play stadium. You have a lot of interesting, desirable, tailor-made experiences for the players. Not even talking about arcade, right? That is a really large dilution of your player base. And so everyone is in different spots. It's not like some indie studio. You're not, wait, it doesn't matter if that company has trillions of dollars. $1 trillion company can't make more people appear out of thin air. When you have people you have to match people based on their skill level, right? In a game that has been out for 8 or 9 years, the people who are going to be really good at the game are the people that are going to be there for many, many years. People that, even if they get new players, are going to be at the low end. It's going to take a very long time for them to skew up. And then you have everyone wants to play the game in different ways. Older players that maybe played a lot of Overwatch 1 probably are going to flock more to the open queue 6v6. A lot of the newer people are probably going to stay in the role queue 5v5. And then there's obviously Stadium. So you have a lot of people that are all over the place. That's all I'm trying to tell you, is that I don't think there is an answer. They just kind of have to keep flipping the switch back and forth depending on, like, is the community getting too mad? You know, it's like, oh god, is the queue time's getting too long? Okay, let's flip it back this way. Oh, the games are too unmatched? Okay, let's flip it back this way. Oh, flip it back this way. Oh, flip it back this way. Flip it back this way. They kind of have to, you know? The stadium situation. We've talked a lot about how matchmaking in general works and how it applies to the Overwatch competitive modes. But stadium is an entirely different animal, and we want to dive deep into that. Unlike Overwatch's core modes, Stadium's rank isn't tied directly to MMR. Instead, MMR serves as a goalpost towards which you can climb as you play more Stadium matches. Ranks reset in Stadium every season, and every player begins at Rookie, gaining more points as you play. You may have noticed that you often get more points for winning games of Stadium than you do for losing, which allows you to climb faster. In core modes, this would never work since MMR needs to be the zero sum to function. You'll gain the same amount of MMR for a win as the other team loses. That's why MMR and approximate Stadium skill tiers sometimes don't match up. Two players with similar MMR ratings and similar amounts of won Stadium games will have very similar ranks. But someone with a higher core MMR will start in Rookie. Since they are new to the mode. I didn't get that last part. What? Two players with similar MMR ratings and similar amount of won Stadium matches will have very similar ranks. But someone with a higher core MMR will start in Rookie since they're both new to the mode. Doesn't everyone start in Rookie because everyone's getting reset? Chat, am I misunderstanding something? Like they will still... Oh, will still start in Rookie. Oh, okay. I think I missed the still start. All they're saying is even though you're top 500, you're in the same as a bronze. Okay, I guess that's fair. I don't know why this wouldn't trip me up so much, but I'm gonna keep moving. Since Stadium's calibration differs so much, we have two options. Put players together based on Stadium MMR, or on Stadium rank. Putting players together based on rank feels awkward, since actual rookies will be playing alongside high MMR players. So for the moment, we're assembling matches based on Stadium MMR. While this means you may see a rookie in your high-ranked games, that player's Stadium MMR reflects their actual skill. We're evaluating ways to make matchmaking smarter so that situation happens less often. I feel like this is just such a lose-lose. Okay? This is just a big lose-lose because you have high rank. Let's say you have some all-star player and they have a rookie on their team, but that rookie guy isn't actually bad. Like, they're actually good. They just haven't played much Stadium. And so they like, that guy's underperforming. They go check his profile. They see rookie and they go, oh my god, why the f is there a rookie in my game? This guy's ass. But they're not actually ass because it's going off of MMR. But then the rookie guy also feels like shit because he's playing in an all-star game, but he's only rookie. And he's like, what the f? My rank shows rookie. Like, I'm in the shitter right now, but I'm playing against demons. What is this? That's kind of dumb. And I know the reason why they want to reset it every season is to give people a reason to grind. But, like, maybe I'm wrong. But, like, I feel like if you're going to design a rank system where everyone restarts at 0 every season, it has to reflect your rank, right? Like, it has to be a system where there's gonna sometimes be some absolute demon who hasn't played for 3 weeks and they hop into bronze or rookie and they just shoot through it and just dominate everybody, right? Unfortunately, that's just by design what you've created, right? Otherwise, it's artificial on the treadmill engagement system where you're trying to get someone to play the game more so they climb, so their funny number goes up, but they're actually still in really difficult games. It just doesn't feel good. Yeah, like, okay, so basically what I'm trying to say to you, if your rank shows bronze, right? Like it shows you're in bronze, why are you playing against Masters or GM players, right? Should you be playing against Masters or GM players if you're bronze? No, but the game knows you're not actually bronze because it knows what your internal ranking is. It knows you're higher and knows you're better than that. But as the player, you don't know that because like it shows you're in bronze and you're like, well, it says I'm bronze. Why am I playing against these demons? And if you win the game, you get a bunch of points, sure. But you lose the game, it feels 10 times ass, right? Unfortunately, the system has created its own unique problem. Moving on, queue times are also something that we're looking at for Stadium, but improvements may only come with time. Long queues are affecting high-skilled players in specific roles, namely support, due to low populations of players at that skill level, as well as the general role disparity. We're actively thinking about ways to improve the situation here, and we'll share more as our plans evolve. Thanks for taking the time to learn more about matchmaking. This is always really, really interesting, but it didn't tell me anything different than what I normally already kind of knew. The only thing that was a little bit of a like, oh shit kind of moment is if you have a diamond player and a silver player on the same team, the diamond player probably is going to say the silver player sucks and is throwing / is shit at the game, and the silver player is going to look at the diamond player and be like, that guy sucks and is shit at the game. I love when they do these though, these types of graphs, and they like show this kind of stuff. Interesting, the player base is now shifted up to plat, because for a very long time it was, in the beginning of Overwatch 2, it was actually like bronze to silver, then it became like silver to gold, and now it's like very clearly plat and gold. So it's leveled out over the years, which is nice. So, cool. I like that they do these kind of things, but matchmaking is such a difficult topic to talk about and to explain that if it was so easy to fix, people would have done it by now.